Let's talk to Sajid in Canada.
I would really, really like that.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Hello. How are you?
We are good. Welcome to the show. You want to talk a little bit about Islam and social justice? I'm very, very interested to hear this conversation.
Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So you want me to go ahead then?
Absolutely. Go for it. Give us a nutshell kind of conversation starter so we can dive in.
Right. Yeah. So today's 9/11, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very sad day for me, unfortunately. I know a lot of times Islam is portrayed as violent and focuses on terrorism and extremism, and I have a very different view of what Islam is and how to interpret it, I guess.
Do you consider yourself Muslim?
Yes.
Okay. So how does it make you feel when you see groups like Boko Haram take the holy book that you study and use that to justify their violent acts? Like, how do you internalize that? What do you think of that?
Honestly, it makes me want to cry. Makes me very sad.
Do you think they're wrong?
I believe they're wrong. In my interpretation, I believe they're wrong, yes.
Okay. I would love to know what that interpretation is and how that differs from their interpretation, because I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to a lot of Islam, and I would love to know what it is that would motivate someone to shoot up a bus full of, young girls and say that, the Quran promoted it, and then for you to look at something like that and it would make you cry. What's going on there, do you think?
Well, I think there are several verses that are interpreted wrong, or they're not interpreted contextually, and people take them to interpret that they still need to be carried out today. Like there's certain verses that talk about, kill the heathen or whatever, but I believe they had to make sense of the culture and the time the Quran was revealed. That makes sense.
I mean, it does, in that it kind of explains where your head is. So the idea of you're interpreting it wrong is definitely something that I'm much more familiar with. The idea that, I've got the right of it and this person has the wrong of it. Let me ask you, if do you think that the God that you believe in could give you a book that doesn't get misinterpreted? Could a God give a more clearly, concisely written book? Or do you think we're kind of stuck with that?
I mean, it says in Surah 37, I believe, that there's some ambiguity to the Quran. There's verses that are ambiguous and others that are not. So I believe it is really up to us to interpret it. And unfortunately, I believe several groups have taken it the wrong way.
Well, it sounds like they took it the right way, just not the way that you agree with. I mean, if it's up to them to interpret it and they interpreted it their way, then that does sound sanctioned. Like, that does sound legitimized, at least from where I'm sitting. Again, I'm asking questions here. So.
That way, yeah.
Say again?
I suppose you could see it. Oh, I said, I suppose you could see it that way. I guess, I don't know. I'm pretty new to Islam, so I'm still kind of working these things out. And that's why I like to have conversations with people who don't agree with me. And
yeah.
So how do we pronounce your name? Is it Saeed?
Sajid.
Sajid. So Sajid, I gotta tell you, man, like the amount of people who are able to sit in this because man, not knowing is so uncomfortable. It is such a gut, pit in your feeling place to be. The fact that you can sit there and be in that place and then talk about it means a lot for where you can grow and what you can do. Because on our side of it, I think that your morality is better than your holy book. That you, Sajid, are actually better than it. But I know that's not where you're at. But I appreciate that you would kind of be in this place for it. That's really cool.
Do you know much about the Sufis?
I probably did at one point, but I would be talking out of my butt in the first 5 minutes. If you were to ask me to explain things, could you enlighten us? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, the Sufis are they're the mystic sort of interpretation of Islam. They believe there's a deeper interpretation than what the surface text says. They tend to focus more on less on doing the strict religious practices and more focusing on mystical or experiences and the love of God and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm more interested in.
I mean, Sufi poetry is some of the most jaw-droppingly beautiful artwork I have ever encountered. So, like, I fully understand why you would gravitate towards that. That is, like, for anyone who has not read, like, Rumi or Hafiz, like, go do that because you deserve it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about secular governance?
Secular governance?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I believe it's very important.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. So do you think that that your holy book would advocate for secular governance?
Yes, there's a verse that says there's no compulsion in religion in Surah 2, I believe it's verse 256, and that's been interpreted to mean that people are allowed to freely practice their religion and shouldn't be forced.
Interesting. So here's what I would really like. I would really, really like for when this clip comes out for people to share it with us, other Muslims, because the conversation that can be had in the comments can be one that is much more, well-rounded than one that's going to be had with me. And I really hope that happens because I've got to tell you, I'm just not at a place where I can, quote verses. I can do that with the Bible, but I can't do that with your holy book. And I feel like that leaves me poorly prepared. So I can only speak in generalities.
Yeah, and I can only quote like pieces of like mystic poetry, which isn't directly from the Quran either. So I think honestly, Sajid, what I want to take away from this and what I think is really important is that when we're talking about things like bodily autonomy and harm reduction, which is the last call we had, it's kind of the core of my moral structure. If you have adopted a worldview or a religion or a belief system and have decided to help rehabilitate it or fight the extremist factions of it, then that is a worthy goal, frankly.
Sure.
And the fact that you are willing to jump on a call online and be like, hey, I disavow that. Here's how I interpret things. That's a big step.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to, thank you for. We can talk about whether or not your God is real or whether or not your beliefs are founded in like the laws of logic, right? Like we could go down that route, but I don't think that's the place for this today. If you would like to call back and have that conversation, we can.
Oh, we would love to navel gaze with you, Sajid.
But the point that I want to make before we let you go is we have no quarrel on a moral level right now. As far as I know, you are looking at the same things that I look at and saying, that's bad. What can we do to fix that? And how can I take responsibility in providing a different perspective? And we can dive more into that perspective hopefully next time. But yeah, I think you're doing a good job so far.
Thank you for calling too. This was nice.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And God bless you. I know you don't believe in God, but God bless you anyway.
Sajid, we understand the sentiment that you mean by that.
Yeah.
Take care.
Peace.
I'm honestly, I bet you anything that if you watch just like a compilation, we should make one of like just my perspective over time in the years that I've been doing this, the years and years, the shift from, but it's not logical, to who are you harming and how are you advocating for justice, is like the shift has just gone in that direction. And I'm so ready and willing to have those philosophical, theological debates.
I love the but it's not logical arguments.
I do too. But I think that if we try and focus on that every time, A, it gets stale. It does get boring.
Speak for yourself.
And B, it does put the humanity of the person on the other side, especially if they are calling in to find common ground or to advocate for a better way of living, on trial, essentially.
Agreed.
So do with that what you will. And definitely do check out the Sufi mystic poets. Out beyond the fields of right and wrong, there is a place. I will meet you there. Like, when I read that for the first time, I don't even know if I said that correctly. Like, I cried. I was on a hill in college, just like doing homework, reading some poetry, and I just went, just a waterworks.
I could see that.
So good.
I could see that.
All right.
I know exactly what kind of kid you were in college.
Oh
yeah.
I walked under the moon and read Rumi in my car when it was raining. I got out of my bed in my dorm. I was like, it's raining. I'm going to go sit in my car so I can hear the rain more and read this poetry. I was that kid.
I gotcha.
Insufferable.
No, because I guarantee you that if you're watching this, you probably were some version of that kid as well. You're welcome. You are welcome here. You are home. This is your community. We're glad you made it.